What if you could experience two completely different worlds in one trip, where you're swimming with nurse sharks in the crystal clear Belize Barrier Reef one day, and then on the next, you're searching for jaguars deep in the jungle? Well, this is the Reef and Rainforest package, a Belizean adventure where you're gonna stay at a private island at Casa Al Mar before heading into an untouched Mayan rainforest at Chan Chich Lodge. But is it worth it? Well, in this week's video, we're gonna take you inside both the resorts. We're gonna go into deep details covering the experience, covering the cost, and what we might do differently if we were to do it again. So if you're planning a trip to Belize, stick around because this could be your dream vacation. So without further ado, cue the intro and let's get into this week's video.
What's up YouTube? Trevi from the Adventure Buddies, the modern travel family, bringing you another video filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make sure you maximize your next family adventure, like we always do here at the Adventure Buddies.
So we started our adventure at Casa Al Mar, a private 6-bedroom home on St. George's Key, just a 20-minute boat ride from Belize City and only a 4.5-hour flight from LAX. So from the moment we arrived though, it felt like we had our own private island retreat where sunrise on one dock, we had the sunset on the other, then you had non-stop ocean views in between. So think of this kind of like an Airbnb on your own private island. This was just incredible. So let's get into some of the details here. So here, days were filled with ocean adventures. We went snorkeling with sharks and stingrays at the Holcan Marine Reserve. We fed tarpons at Key Cocker, and we even tried our luck at hand fishing where we caught snappers and even a hammerhead shark. But the best part, whatever fish we caught, the chefs actually cooked them up for dinner. So speaking of food, we had 2 private chefs here at the resort preparing fresh seafood, tropical drinks, and appetizers every single night. And so while we're not foodies, the quality here of the food was incredible. Plus, they were even able to customize our meal based on our preference because again, we were traveling with a baby and 2 teenagers, so a lot of different preferences there. So on top of the 2 chefs, so this experience also came with 2 housekeepers who acted as our babysitters for our baby Olivia, who at the time was 2. We also had a boat captain, a dive instructor, and then even a manager to make sure that our itinerary was seamless. So not only was this staff amazing, but our favorite part about this trip was that we had the ability to customize our entire itinerary, and the staff helped prepare an incredible 4 days here. So we were going scuba diving, we were going snorkeling, we even had a private barbecue on a total secluded, deserted island, all prepared for us here at Casa Al Mar. So if you're looking for that dreamy beach vacation here in Belize, Casa Al Mar is your #1 stop to go to. So then after the 4 days here at St. George's Keys with Casa Al Mar, we traded our flip-flops in for hiking boots and we headed deep into the jungle for the next resort, Chan Chich, where we were going to spend the next 4 days. So after the boat ride back from Casa Al Mar to Belize City, we then hopped into a van that took us 3 hours to go deep into the jungle. Out of those 3 hours though, an hour and a half of that was actually deep into the jungle where we were on dirt roads the entire time. So quite an experience getting way back in the jungle, but we were in there in search of some big cats. And when we talk about big cats, we're looking for jaguars, pumas, or ocelots. So let's get into this resort review on Chan Chich. So after a 3-hour scenic drive, we arrived at Chan Chich Lodge, a hidden eco lodge built on top of an ancient Mayan city. Now, this wasn't just any jungle stay. This was actually located inside a 30,000 acre private natural reserve that's home to Belize's elusive jaguars and pumas. We'll get to that here in a second. And so as we got to the resort, the cabanas that we stayed in were immaculate. So we had our thatched roof cabanas that felt like a safari lodge in the middle of the jungle. And so there was complete with wraparound decks, hammocks, and then nightly turn down service with mosquito nets. Because again, you're in the jungle, there are bugs. But the real adventure actually happened outside those cabanas. Let's get into it. So every morning, afternoon, and night, we went on safari truck tours searching for wildlife. And so on the trucks, they had guides that were expert spotters. And so here we saw tons of birds such as toucans, owls, we saw spider monkeys, howler monkeys, and even ocelots. And while we didn't see the big cat, the jaguar, the trail cams that they do show you at the resort did show that those jaguars were all around the actual resort. But again, they're wild animals, and so we were unfortunate not to see it. But you should know that going into that, as a disclaimer, you're not guaranteed to see all these wild animals, but the hunt itself was enough to keep us coming back for more. So another highlight here at Chan Chich was exploring the Mayan ruins. And so the Mayan ruins were right on the property. And so all you had to do was do a short little hike and you could see some Mayan ruins and go into a couple different caves where they actually had some excavation. So it should be known that each summer you have archaeologists actually coming here to Chan Chich to dig up and explore more. And so it's really cool to just be a part of all this history. And so again, getting in there, you had jungle vines growing everywhere, but it felt like kind of stepping back in time, a bit eerie, but a really cool adventure. The other thing that we want to mention about Chan Chich Lodge is that this resort is 100% farm to table. So everything that we ate, even the furniture that we slept on, came from the farm in the rainforest here. And so speaking of farms, we were able to do a farm tour, we were able to do horseback riding, etc. So we got to understand where everything was coming from that we were enjoying here at Chan Chich Lodge. So next, let's get into a detailed breakdown of what you actually get here at the Reef and Rainforest package with Casa Al Mar and Chan Chich Lodge down in Belize. So first, you're gonna get 4 nights at Casa Al Mar. Again, your private island stay with all your meals and activities and staff all included in your stay. Plus, you're gonna get the transfer from this resort to the next resort here at Chan Chich Lodge, where you're gonna stay another 4 nights deep inside the jungle. When we talk about some of the activities that are included, you're gonna get snorkeling, you're gonna get fishing, you're gonna get that private beach barbecue, you're gonna get those jungle safaris, those Mayan ruin hikes, horseback riding, farm tours, coffee plantations, etc. All that's going to be included. Plus, this is an all-inclusive resort at both locations, so all your meals are in the price. Speaking of price, now let's talk about the pricing for the Reef and Rainforest package. And so the pricing is gonna be a bit variable depending on the season. And so first we'll talk about low season. So low season is gonna be from May to October 31st. And that's gonna run you about $3,700 per person. High season or busy season, that's gonna be between January to the end of April, and then November to December. Again, some of those holiday seasons, that's gonna be closer to $4,000 per person. Again, this includes all lodging, meals, activities, transfers, staff, etc. And so all this is encompassing is going to make this a great value for an all-inclusive adventure across Belize's 2 most iconic landscapes. And so if you're wondering what is the best time to visit, well, that's probably going to be between December to April. Again, it's dry season, it's perfect weather for both the snorkeling and the jungle. Downside is that's the more expensive side. So for reference, we went in February and this was absolutely ideal. We saw no crowds, we had perfect weather, and it just worked for us and our family. And so if you are considering this trip, book at least 6 months in advance. Casa Al Mar and Chan Chich Lodge both have limited availability, and this package is very popular between families, adventure seekers, and wildlife lovers in total. And so they don't have a ton of availability, so book early. And however though, if you do have kids, we recommend that this trip be for kids aged 10 and up. We did feel that the younger kids might struggle with the long safari drives, some jungle hikes at Chan Chich, and again, babysitting services aren't normally available at Chan Chich Lodge. They did have it at Casa Al Mar, but again, something to consider when booking this package. So final thoughts, let's go over some pros and cons. Is the Reef and Rainforest package really worth it? So starting with the pros. And so pros, we felt that you got 2 completely different experiences in one trip. That private island, luxury, remote, jungle, adventure, all encompassed in one. You had incredible activities from snorkeling, safaris, ruins, horseback riding, scuba diving, fishing, all that. Plus, all the meals were included and completely customizable, and they were great foods on our end. So again, not foodies, but the food was absolutely incredible. Now, a few things that you know before booking, we're not gonna call them cons, but the first thing though, jaguar sightings aren't guaranteed. Again, it's a wild jungle, but the thrill of seeking out these jaguars was enough to make us enjoy the actual hunt. And so again, didn't get to see them. You should know that they aren't guaranteed because that may be a deal breaker for you. The transition day though, from one resort to the other is a bit long with that 3-hour drive, but again, we enjoy the drive in itself again. And so the last con though, we do suggest this as a vacation package for families that have kids that are 10 and older. That way they can do all the activities. That way you can do all the things without having to worry about babysitting, etc. But again, overall, we just thought this incredible package, getting to the islands, getting to the jungle, and seeing 2 unique aspects of Belize was absolutely incredible. And we highly recommend you doing this package or doing one or either of the resorts themselves. And so if you are looking for individual resort reviews, we're gonna get into more specific details details, click the link above here for that review particularly. So I'm Matt from the Adventure Buddies. If you like this video, please consider giving us that thumbs up. Click that red subscribe button down below for more travel tips and adventures. And most importantly, remember, life's an adventure. Who are you going on it with?